Hello, everybody. Thank you once again for tuning into the In When You're Out podcast. As always, I'm your host, John, and today I'm with Jeremiah Craig. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
100%. Thanks for coming on. Now, tell our audience a little bit about who exactly you are. You have a much larger presence online than I do, but in case anybody isn't familiar with what you do or who you are online, go ahead and tell our people today.
Sure, thanks. Yeah, my name is Jeremiah Craig. I am a content creator and musician, so I'm a songwriter. I play the guitar, harmonica, and the banjo, and I make a bunch of content online, mainly around Western wear, cowboy boots, and folk music. So
Oh,
I
yeah.
have a YouTube channel, Instagram, Facebook, and I got my own website, and all of the content goes in all of those places. I like to collaborate with a lot of folks in and around the country. So
Oh, yeah.
I've featured lots of folks around everywhere that I go, and it's a lot of fun getting to connect with folks and make some fun content for people.
I could definitely agree. I absolutely love collaborating with people, especially people that have kind of their own thing going on. I have for the very first thing, I have boots, coffee, Rotary, guitars, and music. Does that sound like similar to what you do?
Yeah, that's right.
Right on. So I actually got to tune in today. I don't usually get to see your morning podcasts. Tell me a little bit about what that was, because you're almost at 1,700 episodes, it seems. Today was 1,699.
Yeah, so I do coffee and music every morning, which is just a live stream. So I jump on different social media platforms
Mhm.
and just play some music, talk with my audience, share what kind of boots that I'm wearing that day,
Oh, yeah.
and also make myself available for any questions that people might have. And I guess I started way back in 2019 or 2018 or something, doing that pretty much every single weekday,
Wow.
and it's been a good time. It really started taking off during the pandemic when people were just sort of at home.
Oh, I'm sure. That's actually the first iteration of this podcast is on a different channel, and it was during COVID. It was basically during the pandemic or during lockdown. So that's kind of funny because we kind of started at the same time. I started my first business. I started the ice cream business in 2019. That was quite the year to do things, or I guess the previous year or the following year, sorry. But for
I know,
the
right?
very first question I have for you, how did you get into the boots and making content? What was your catalyst that made you decide this is what you wanted to do?
Well, I've always been into digital marketing and content creation. So I worked for agencies. I went to school for marketing.
Very
So
nice.
I've always been doing some sort of digital marketing, content creation since graduating college in 2010, I guess.
Oh, goodness.
And I wanted to get my music out there a little bit more because I did the whole thing where you go on tour and they say, play as much as you can, as many places as you can, but
Yeah.
it doesn't really work the way that it used to. So even when I was creating content then about touring, so if you go
Sure.
way back in my YouTube, you can see all of my tour videos going across country, playing at different places, visiting different places,
Hmm.
and those videos would only get like 20 views or whatever. So I wasn't making enough money on the road or doing content then, so I had to go back and sort of re-strategize. So I found another job again. I worked at they wouldn't let me do marketing again because there was too big of a gap on my resume. So I
Oh,
actually cleaned
really?
rooms and windows for a while
Hmm.
until I got another marketing job. And then I was like, okay, it's time for another go at this. I got to get my music out there some way. So I basically took the strategies that I made for the agencies that I was working at,
Right.
which they didn't really want to use. I came up with a very low
Huh.
cost content strategy that they could use and mark it up quite a bit. They didn't want to use it, but I was like, I believe in this. So I
I
just
see.
tried it out on myself based off of my interests. And I was looking around and doing a bunch of keyword research, and I decided on what about cowboy boots? I'm wearing cowboy boots every day anyways. I like them. I had like 4 or 5 pairs. So I was like, does anybody care what kind of shoes that I wear?
Apparently they
Right,
do.
right. And I did. The data said yes, and there wasn't very many people making content about cowboy boots. So I threw my hat in the ring, started making content about my experience wearing cowboy boots, and it just sort of took off from there.
Wow. We're kind of in the same boat on that with the kind of the footwear, I should say.
Right? The socks with John.
Absolutely. So with that, you've applied what you've learned to your own business or your own brand, and that was because people weren't willing to, as you said, you kind of have the gap in your resume. People weren't willing to take you on and value the things that you knew were good, so you used it for yourself and you blasted off. So that's just proof of the person that you are, and that if whoever you were pitching yourself to had actually taken you on, I'm sure you could have done very well for them, but you did even better for yourself, and that's what I would say is more important.
Yeah, thanks. I was
Yeah.
actually working for an agency in Seattle at that point, based
Very
on,
nice.
and they had different strategies and stuff. So I wanted to make an impression on them by offering new strategies that could be sold at a crazy margin.
Mhm.
And they said no. So I was like, well, I believe in this.
And you implemented basically what you learned or what you had, and you were able to, well, I don't know, maybe outshine for a Seattle marketing company, but I'm sure you've done fantastic for yourself. I did check on your YouTube. I think you have over 50,000 subscribers. When I first met you, and we'll talk about this in a second, when I first met you, it was at actually, it's right on my wall. I'm pointing at it. You can't quite see, but on my wall, I have a part 1 to the Rotary Leadership Institute of Northeast America. That's when I first met you at Johnson City High School, when we kind of sat in and learned how to be better leaders, I should say, or whatever it was that we did. And
that was fun. It was really interesting sitting next to you. I always remember you telling me about how you want to be president someday.
oh goodness, yeah, I forgot how many people I've told that now. I actually talked about that on my last podcast. I talk about that a lot, but I'm still serious about that as well. So as long as it's been, I'm ever more serious. As a matter of fact, perhaps we could. How about this? Promise me you'll ask me about that later on once we get through some questions for you, because I feel like I talk about that a lot. But if you're interested in that, I absolutely will share a little bit more.
Yeah, I actually think about that every time I see your socks with John. I'm like, this guy's going to be president someday. I'll definitely vote for this guy.
Thanks.
So yeah, we'll bring it up later.
Sure. Yeah, I really do appreciate that, because I try my best. And my biggest problem so far, I don't want to say like, oh, you're so much older than me, but you are a bit older than me. I think by 10 years maybe. I'm 25.
I'm 38.
Okay, so 13 years, just about. And my problem has been that people don't really regard me as somebody to be taken seriously because of my age, mostly because of my age. The way that I present myself, how I speak, how I dress, those are the things that most people say, oh, I'll judge you on that. But beforehand, a lot of the time people just say, oh, this is a young guy in an atmosphere full of not young people. Why is he here? And that was actually a reason I kind of ended up leaving the Rotary Club. But I still do work with humanitarian organizations, and I do still promote the Rotary Club. So I'll actually skip to this question 5 for you, I should say. So, which is just thoughts on the Rotary Club. Are you still in the Ithaca Rotary Club?
Yeah, I'm in the Rotary Club still.
How long have you been in there for?
I guess 3 years, almost.
Really? Wow, okay. So I was in the Rotary Club I started in 2021, actually. So I think I was in the club before you, actually. That's hilarious.
Yeah, you definitely were, because I got to Ithaca in 2022, and it took me a few months to get into the Rotary and, get involved around town in the community. So, yeah, I think I'm coming up on 3 years here.
Wow. Well, good for you, man. And what are your thoughts on how the clubs kind of perform in the areas and what their consistency, like the people in there, what they do, and kind of what they stand for in the modern age? What's your take on that?
The thing that sold me up front was the four-way test. Which,
yes.
For anybody listening who isn't familiar with what the four-way test is, it's is it the truth?
Mm-hmm.
Of course, that's a good thing for this podcast. Is it the truth?
Yes.
Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? And will it be beneficial to all concerned? And that's like everything that I was thinking about at the moment. I was going through a lot of stuff, and kind of a paradigm shift, and I kept coming back to a lot of those things just on my own. So then when I found the club and that they said all of those things, I was like, okay, this place is for me.
Exactly.
This is what they're thinking about.
And I definitely felt that same sense of community and the togetherness that they're trying to build. The difference, however, from the things that I've seen is that, like I said, we kind of have age disparity. But the club has incredible principles. It stands for humanitarianism, serving community, and doing what is right in a truthful and comprehensive and transparent way. Very important for any person on the planet. If they use those four-way tests to challenge themselves to do better in life, they would become a better person, I guarantee. But with that in mind, I did have some struggles with the Rotary Club, and considering you're actually the first person from the Rotary I've been able to have on my podcast, I'd like to ask you a little bit more about that in the way of, what do you think would be beneficial for young people involving themselves in the Rotary Club? Do you think that's better for the young people, or is that better for the Rotary? Because I mean, it's kind of a rhetorical question, but I want to hear what you have to say.
You mean, would it be better for young people to be in Rotary, or would it be better for Rotary to have young people in it?
Both. Would it be better for? I mean, I guess I'll complete the question myself. I know that the Rotary Club is more of a an older person's thing. I don't want to say old people, but when I was in the Vestal Club in 2021 to 2022, I think I was only about a year and a half. The disparity between me and the second youngest person was about 40, or no, not at that point. Yeah, about 40 years. So we had a member that was like 66, and I was like 21 at that time, so it was quite a bit. And I always kind of felt like there was not the same consideration towards me and what I wanted to do versus what other people had in mind. It's become a tad stagnant, and in that way, I want to influence younger people to engage with the Rotary Club, engage with humanitarian organizations, so that the lifeblood can continue on, because otherwise, as I'm sure you understand, it is dying out. And I don't want that to die out. I want the Rotary Club to withstand for another 150 years or 111 years or whatever it is.
Oh, yeah, I completely agree. The average age of my club here in Ithaca, the Ithaca Lunch Club, I think it's like 65, if not higher than that. So yeah, it's an old club. Like the main demographic is made up of older folks, mainly like baby boomers, right?
That's absolutely true.
Create like a weird sort of vibe when you're first going into it and first like trying to engage with the club as a younger person.
And I found that very challenging, unfortunately, at first, but I was able to warm up some people to my character, and eventually, they wanted to speak to me. But I never, maybe this has had a bit discredit to some of the clubs I had worked with, or at least maybe some of the people. I don't want to discredit the entirety of the club. But, they see me for my age, and they did not take me into the same regard as they would another member. So when I had been in the club, I'd actually pitched an idea for a Ukrainian relief initiative, because we had somebody come from Ukraine and actually speak to our club and say, hey, basically the war has started. It was February 24th, 2022, and his name was Serhiy Boyko. I'm not sure if you know that individual, but he basically poured his heart out to our club and told us this is what's going on, and we need help. And I was very inspired from that moment on. I wanted to do something, and I spoke to my club. I went to district conferences. That year, I was the only representative from my club actually at the conference that year. And when I came back, I spoke before everybody, and our treasurer actually shut me down. Basically interrupted my whole ordeal, and it was like, what's the point? And I was like, well, the point is every other club is doing something like this, and we're the only ones that are not. And I never really had a further conversation with him. And then, the weeks after that, I was like, I should probably choose to join a different club. People that are going to welcome me and at least work on this project, because I'm sure you guys even for the Ithaca Club, I'm almost guaranteeing that you guys had some type of relief initiative or some type of project raising money for Rotary clubs in Ukraine.
Oh yeah, and we got another one coming up here at the beginning of September.
Absolutely. And so our club, while I was in that club, it was the only one without any type of assistance program. And while I tried to put that together, I was basically shut down. And that felt terrible, because as the person who was like still kind of feeling like an outsider to the club, it didn't feel right to be like, hey guys, let's all be gung-ho about getting this thing done. And then everybody just being like, nah. It's like, oh, okay. What do you want to say? You can't teach an old dog new tricks, but you can't convince people to do things they don't want to do, I guess.
Yeah, and that's fair. I mean, it is a very difficult the communication and trying to do new stuff is kind of difficult.
Yeah.
In Rotary, just because folks, trying to get yourself involved with politics, which we'll talk about a little bit later on with the presidency. Things take forever to actually change. And you and me being a little bit younger and in a completely different generation, we can say like, it actually won't be that much time. It actually won't be that much effort, and it will make everybody feel more connected, and the fact that we're doing more for the world, right?
We'll be better off for it. 100% exactly. We will. Yeah.
So I've just kind of come to terms with the fact that in Rotary, if we were trying to do something, it will probably take 3 to 4 to 5 times longer than what I have, what I can do on my own, basically.
Correct.
But then again, a lot of the stuff I can't do on my own, right? There's a lot of moving parts with grants at like the next. There's so many different levels of Rotary.
Right, especially the grants. Yeah.
I went to the conference there for our, what is it?
District conference.
The district conference.
Was that the one in Watertown, or I don't know if it was at Watertown more recently?
It was in Albany this year.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So I went there this year, and just to see what the next level looks like, and I was just kind of realizing the entire hierarchy. And when I went there, I can completely relate with the experience that you had in Rotary in general, in your club.
But imagine being 20.
When I first got in too. It's like, okay, who is this dude? And plus, I have a mullet. Like I'm just out here rocking the mullet, and of course, going into a Rotary, function with this beautiful curly blonde mullet, it definitely intimidates some people. So I kind of got to relax a little bit and play the room a little bit differently. But also, once people get to know me, they realize that it just fits the personality.
And there's no reason to need to dull your sparkle or change who you are, because people are in their ways and don't want to accept you fully, whether they accept you at all. It's not right of you, or it's not right of them to say that there needs to be a change because you don't fit the caliber of people that they're looking for. If you go to a humanitarian organization, you're offering your volunteered time, they should value that, regardless if you have crazy hair or if you're 20 years old.
Exactly, I agree, and that's sort of the I just go in and I just bust down the doors. I'm like, hey guys, I'm here. Let's do some fun stuff and do good together. And eventually people come around. But once I arrived, like during breakfast at the conference, I was getting some weird vibes from people. Yeah,
so what I could say for the majority of the people that have been in the Rotary Club for 10 or 20 years, it's basically a tax write-off in a way of they can give their, what's it called, Paul Harriman. The specific award, basically you give a certain amount of money and you just get a badge. It's literally a badge of honor. It's a physical badge, and it's for giving money to the organization, which sure, that's fine. But for most people, they don't, I don't want to say for most people, but for a lot of people, they don't see that there's other things they can do, or maybe they just don't want to, because that's not what they use Rotary for. But that's okay, because, it is an individual thing. It's spare time that most of these people are retired, so they have a lot more spare time. But there's just a completely different consideration for what they think needs to happen versus what they foresee the Rotary becoming. I unfortunately understand, I'm sure as much as you do, is that what I foresee the Rotary becoming is that it might go away if new members don't become, involved, or if the older members decide that they want to continue along the path that they are, which is basically inactivity. I'm not going to say a lot of the clubs don't do things. They do incredible things, scholarships and cleanups and whatever else. While I was in the Vestal Club, I went to the Walmart and I rang the bell for Salvation Army. I talk about that all the time because it felt so good. And to just wear a coat, be cold for a little bit, standing in the doorway, ringing a bell, and as people came by, they're like, God bless you or whatever. It's like, well, thank you very much. Merry Christmas or whatever it is, and that felt good. And yes, that helps people, but there's so much more that we could do with the environment that we're in and with the organization that's been around for over 100 years.
Oh yeah, totally. And we're talking about a lot of bad stuff, but I'm still part of the Rotary for a lot of good reasons.
Oh, absolutely.
I try to make it a priority to be involved in the community and volunteer, and Rotary does make that, at least my club, makes it really easy. So that there's lots of volunteer opportunities to just kind of show up. You don't need to search for them, and people ask you, hey, can you help out at this thing? Can you help, the AIDS ride that happens with the bicyclists? We're volunteering to give water, snacks to the bicyclists.
Right. Yeah. And there was the Dick's Open that had happened, I think, 2 weeks ago, or maybe even last week. And a lot of the clubs go there and they hand out water, basically the exact same thing. It's a community event that needs volunteers, and the Rotary shows up.
Exactly. There's garbage cleanup on Route 13.
Yeah.
My club is collaborating with the Reuse here, Finger Lakes Reuse. And what we do is we go in and we actually volunteer our time to help sort the products so that they can put them on the shelves, and then the club gets a percentage of the sales that we sort, which we immediately put into community grants
Hmm.
things like youth exchange projects.
Right. Oh, that's
And
big.
then we give away that money to local nonprofits, which we're actually, I think we're coming up towards the end of the grant period right now for our club. And each nonprofit gets like $1,200 to $1,000, and we're able to do 20 to 30 of those
Wow.
grants to people, which helps out the community incredibly.
Oh,
And on top of
absolutely.
that, like the youth exchange stuff, to be a part of helping youth exchange students come here, and then also the students here go overseas or abroad,
Right.
and then come back and share those stories. Like, that is an experience that they will never forget and might change their lives completely, their perspectives immensely.
It
And
absolutely
I
will.
think that is a huge impact if we want to change the way that the world is going. Because if you want to understand more about people and sort of have empathy, you need to leave where you grew up.
Yes, you need to get out of your hometown. You need to shake out kick the rocks out of your shoes. And you need to go somewhere you've never been. Learn that the world is a lot more different, but they can be the same in a lot of the same way, or similar ways. But
Right.
I agree with that sentiment 100%. When I first went to the district conference, I didn't know that a lot of it was surrounding the youth exchange program. And I mean, for the past couple of times I've gone, every time I go, I make sure to see the kids. I help them with their ties and make sure that they're, everything's looking good. I think every time I've gone, to be honest, I help these kids with their ties. That's like the thing I've done. I just walk around and these kids are like, oh, wow, somebody who's not, 60, 70, 80. And I'm like, hey, what's going on, guys? What's up? And that's that feels good at the very least, and then we can kind of like send them off to enrich themselves,
Mm-hmm.
to be able to provide for those kids, and in the same way help them provide for others. Of course, that feels good. The Rotary Club is a very integral and very important thing for a lot of communities. um, I don't mean to speak bad about the Rotary at all. It's just that the understanding and the experiences that I've had, it does prove to me that there are things that could be done better, and I see how they could be done. I just wish that they would. Um,
100%.
but
Everything that you said is completely valid, and my experience too.
right, like I said, I'm a big advocate for the Rotary Club. I think actually I had Ubered in 2023. I went up to Ithaca as well. That's actually where I saw you plenty of times as well. I got out of my car on 2 occasions. I tried to track you down. You were over by the church. What church was it? Right on the, well, they're all corner streets, I suppose. But it was like right before you go up to Cornell. Whatever church it was exactly. It's kind of across the street from like a parking lot. It's like the only parking lot in the area. It's like a small, but it's reserved for something else.
Was I walking my dogs or something?
I don't think you had a dog. You had a guitar on you, and I was like, oh, that's Jeremiah. I was like, oh, I got to talk to him. But you went
Yeah,
in, and I
probably an
couldn't get
open
in
mic
there.
night.
Yeah. But I had told all the people basically that, I talked to all the people, all the kids or students that I was Ubering around. And I said, hey, if you guys are getting into business, or if you're in business administration, or if you're looking for, whatever, spare time, you want your resumes to look good, you want your college applications to look better, I said, join the Rotary Club. I said, because you guys are young and they need young people, they will treat you like gold. For the most part, I like the Ithaca Club. They're very good, actually. Your club's pretty big as well. And you guys do a lot. You're very active as well as far as like other clubs go. I can commend what you guys do, so I appreciate that. But I was a huge advocate, and I'm sure there's people that have joined your club. Do you know a Keith Arnold's?
I don't believe so.
I think I got him to join the Ithaca Club. I had spoken to him. He's an entrepreneur. He actually got into crypto and some other things as well, maybe real estate as well. But it was a very healthy thing, I feel, to speak to people that are directly in the community and say there's things you can do and this is a good opportunity, versus like whatever else somebody stumbles into to say, well, maybe this isn't for me. If you get a foot in the door and you say somebody's an advocate and they're gonna not push you but point you in the right direction, I think it's definitely better off than if I had not, basically is what I'm saying.
Yeah, and that's something that Rotary is working on too, is getting more young folks in, and it's just tough though, because they meet at lunchtime and people are doing stuff like, we got to work jobs.
Yeah.
I can make my schedule however I need it to be because I'm a content creator,
Right.
but that's not the case with a lot of folks. So we've been advocating. I'm on the board too, so to try to get things moving a little bit faster.
Very good. Very good.
So at all the board meetings, I'm always like advocating, we got to get in a late night meeting or something like that. And this year, the new president is introducing one meeting a month that's at night. So I think that's great. a step forward.
That is a good idea.
Get more young folks involved.
For our Vestal Club, we met at 12 o'clock every other Monday. That is like the hardest meeting to make ever. And the fact that it was every other Monday, there was 2 occasions I'd showed up and they're like, sorry, wrong Monday. And I was like, you are kidding me. Because I was like, okay, this is the every other. And then it's like, nope, this isn't the every other. It's like, well, so, but it's basically whatever people are willing to make it. I had gone, I don't want to speak strictly about the financials because I'd gone to plenty of the board meetings, but for one of my clubs, I won't say exactly which one, with the projects that I'd hoped to do, they weren't necessarily willing to fund things like that. And I found out that we basically had almost $90,000. And it's with that in mind, it's like, look, there's things we can do. We have the resources. I have the gumption. I have the willpower to do it. Why aren't we doing it? And it's like, well, that's a good question. It's like, you're right. You're right. That is a good question. Yeah. So with that in mind, let's switch gears for a little bit. And I do want to ask you what your future plans what your future plans are and where you'll be next, whether it's in content creation, doing boots somewhere, or whether you're doing music somewhere, you have a concert. I think you said on your podcast this morning or on your, what exactly do you call it? Like a radio show or a talk show?
This is a live stream.
Live stream. So when you were live this morning, you said that there's something coming up that people could see you at. What exactly was that?
Oh, so I got a show this weekend. I don't know when this airs, but it's on July 26th, and I'm playing with my brother there at
Nice.
Trey Levin Wines. We got a band, a little folk duo together. We're called Brothers Cross It. So Trey Levin is a great spot. It's a really pretty property, and we played there at Christmas time, so I'm looking forward to actually it being warm and a nice day.
Yeah, oh gosh, yeah. I think like you guys get probably a little bit more snow than us, but I'm sure you guys get trounced with snow just as well. I will post this episode probably by the end of today. Soon as we're wrapping up, 11:38 right now. As soon as we wrap up, I'll try to get it out before I have my meeting later tonight. I'm sure I'll be able to. Basically, I'll rewatch it, do some editing, and then it'll be up. So everybody who's watching right now, you heard Jeremiah. Go check him out. If you're in the area, come this weekend. Remind us one more time. What's the name of the location they can see you at?
Trey Levin Wines in Kingsbury, this Saturday, July 26th from 4 to 7.
Excellent. Oh, excellent. I unfortunately will not be able to make that. I am going to a private screening for somebody. My last podcast, actually, he's an animator and a local entrepreneur in upstate. And he is somebody who he's going to have a premiere coming up soon at a film festival, but he's doing a private screening for the first time ever this weekend. And I already told him I was going to make that, and I think that's it. It's in Troy, New York.
That's super exciting.
I thought it was really cool, and I was really happy that I was able to help him out with that or promote him in whatever regard. So just as well for you, Jeremiah. I hope that some of my people on here are able to see. I know a lot of people in upstate New York follow me on here, so I'm sure that at the very least, 1 or 2 people can find their way up there. Please go support Jeremiah. He's a great guy, and he definitely deserves it. Him and his brother. I don't know if I've met your brother, but I can only assume if he's anything like you, he's probably a good guy too.
Yeah, people mistake us for twins all the time, but I'm 2 years older than he is.
Oh, gotcha. I got a brother. I don't talk to him. Haven't talked to him probably 4 years. So he's 30. He's 5 years older than me. But anyway, in that same vein, another question for you is, do you have any advice for young entrepreneurs?
Keep going, I guess. That would be the biggest thing. Like, there's so many even just times of the day where it's like, oh, why am I doing this? What is the point?
Yes.
And then like I'll see a comment on YouTube or Instagram, or I'll get an email from somebody, and all it says is, really like the content, please keep going.
Yeah.
So if anybody follows any content creator that they really like, and that's like the best thing that you could comment. Keep going.
I love your stuff. Keep going.
So difficult.
Yeah. I've been doing Socks with John for almost 2 years now. I started in 2023 in October. I think the 17th of October. And I only know that date because something terrible happened 2 days after. But so we're coming up on 2 years. I have about 1,000 followers on my TikTok. Nothing incredibly crazy. But I've definitely gone through the ebbs and flows of feeling like I should maybe switch gears or whatever else. But it was always when people were like, John, you are my favorite TikToker. It's like, there are billions of people on TikTok, or maybe not billions, but there are millions of users on TikTok. And you're telling me I'm your favorite? Thank you.
Yeah.
So it's things like that. That's great advice. Just keep going, whether it's tough, whether it's impossible almost, just keep trying. That's pretty sound advice, honestly. For the most part, what I tell young people, it's kind of in the same vein. advice for just people in general, I tell them, I told somebody yesterday, do more of what makes you happy in whatever regard. If it's not hurting people, right? But do more of what makes you happy. Somebody said yesterday online, and I commented on their post. He said, what's the point really? Like, and it's the exact same thing. He's like, I'm not popular or whatever. He's like, why, what's the motivation to keep going? Like, why would I do that? Why do people in their life feel like, like, how do they find that motivation to keep going? And I just said, do more of what makes you happy, brother. And he was like, thanks. He was like, you know what? Yeah. And I think that's a good sentiment at the very least, especially, like I said, if you're not hurting anybody. But find something that makes you happy. I'll tell you a little bit about this in a bit as well. I do an anime convention, and this Friday, actually, I do anime and game night at the Crowbar Arcade. I do this every Friday, and I do some other events. That's kind of my job, is the event coordinator and the anime convention. And I do whatever else. But so what I try to tell people is the principle of the anime convention is do more of what makes you happy, because I guess I'll share. So the thing that had happened on the 19th of October in 2023 was one of my best friends and actually one of the founders of my business had actually committed suicide. And I had not seen him in 2 years prior to that. And even worse is that I had actually gone to his parents' house in the dead of night with my other friend that we were living with. All three of us were living together, because we saw his room, we saw how things were, we saw how he was, and we basically we straight up told his parents, we are afraid he's going to hurt himself or commit suicide. You should probably talk to him. And we fell out of contact after we got a new apartment. I went in with a fiance that I had that I'm not even with anymore, but he got into an apartment with somebody else, and I hadn't seen him since we moved out. And then, 2 years later, he actually went and did it. And that was absolutely uprooting. And still now, it's terrible, man. It's so hard because it's almost 2 years in, and it still hurts almost sometimes just as bad as the same day it happened. Finding out for the first time. And he was somebody who absolutely loved anime. And it wasn't very popular when he did. When I went to school, I was in school with them for however many years, 10 or 12 years. We played soccer for 5 years together. He was a year below me, so it would have been 6. We were together. We went to United Kingdom together on a school trip after I graduated. That was 2 weeks. We spent, however many countless nights just doing stuff in countries we've never been to before. A lot of cool stuff. And he was always so proud of the things that he liked. And even if it wasn't popular, if people thought it was weird, he still enjoyed it. And so I tell people that they should do more of what makes them happy. And, don't really worry about other people's opinion if you're not hurting people.
Yeah. Wow, I'm sorry that happened, and thanks for sharing that. That was a very vulnerable moment. And,
it's okay. I'm trying my best to. I'll be honest. I try to talk about it because it helps to talk about it, and I don't want him to be forgotten. He was a really good guy. He was actually in the military as well. He was an Army Reserve. He was a combat engineer, and he just I don't know what happened, but he went to a park down the road from his parents' house and shot himself in the head in his car. I used to play soccer at that park, probably with him at some point. So it's pretty tough, but we're getting to the point now. I got a hand-drawn picture of him on the wall because I don't have any other pictures really of him. And I had to move it because it used to be at the bottom of my bed. People can see my screen right now. They can see my phone. So if you see, it was kind of at the bottom of at this wall here. It's now on the other side of the room because I just could not stop staring at it really. But that's, it's getting easier. I told myself I'll name one of my kids after him. And then, But those are some of the things that motivate me to, do the things that I do, enjoy more of what makes me happy, and to keep going, because that is really good advice.
Yeah. That's a strong motivator.
Oh gosh, yeah. If you want to hear one thing to make it even worse, Jeremiah, when I did that, when I went to his parents' house and I told him, we're worried about him, you should probably check on him, whatever. When we got back to the house the next day, my friend had seen him first, and he kind of got in a fight with him. Not like a physical fight, but he yelled at him. He's like, what do you think you're doing, whatever. And when I got home, he basically was crying in my arms, completely 100% different. And I revealed to him that, hey, man, when I was 19 years old, September 9th, 2019, I attempted suicide. I crashed my car into a tree purposely, going about 70 miles an hour. I think I passed out. I basically was like thrown into the trees so much that I had to crawl out of a sideways car. I had no shoes because whatever shoes I had got stuck in the car. I got in a fight with my parents beforehand, whatever the trigger was. And I had my phone, I had my wallet, so I was in the middle of nowhere basically, and it all kind of hit me like, yo, John, what did you just do? But I got the help I needed. I went to the emergency room. I was non-voluntary admitted to CPEP, which is basically a mental health resource for people in Binghamton. And after 12 days, the 21st of September, you know the Earth, Wind, and Fire song? Do you remember? I don't want to sing too much. I don't want to get copyright on this, but that's a very profound moment for me because everything that had happened. So that was a couple years before this. So it was on that time where I came back and he cried in my arms and we were hugging it out and whatnot. I told him, I said, Ben, I said, I need you to know that I had attempted suicide and I got very, very, very close. And the first thing I said as I'm hurtling in the air when I hit that bank, that dirt bank, and my car is sideways through the air, I said no, because I didn't want that to happen. I thought I did, but I didn't. And I crawled out of that car a different man, And, I thought sharing a story like that would kind of motivate him to reconsider, but we don't know the darkest places that people can descend to sometimes. But so I don't mean to go on about this so much. I don't want to keep the mood too depressing, but that's kind of the reality of the situation. But motivation comes in many different forms. You can take the bad things and make it a positive reality. And then, the best you can do is, like you said, just keep going, keep trying with all your might,
Yeah. And like you said, when you realize that, it's like there's so much more here. We can change this, and you did. So that's such a powerful motivator. You understand it from the most base level, and that gives a lot of perspective to hopefully everybody listening.
I hope so as well. I share that story often, not maybe so much with my friend and how everything had happened, but I do tell people about my attempted suicide because one, it wasn't the first. That was the most profound. But I got the help I needed. I have not yet had some type of interaction or iteration of that happening again. So it sucks to say, but I consider that to be one of the best things I did for myself because I got the help I needed and I lived. But you should not put yourself in a situation like that. Believe me, it's not what you guys want.
Right.
So with that in mind, I got another question for you. Let's see. So where would you say is your biggest community in New York, outside of exactly where you live? You say you live in Ithaca?
Yeah, I live in Ithaca.
So with that, you're able to touch down in your community. And I'm sure a lot of people know you pretty well, I'm sure. Where would you say upstate New York exactly, outside of Ithaca, is like your second go-to, like your sister location, we'll say?
Well, it's been Rochester.
Oh, gotcha.
The Rochester area. But I'm trying not to perform there as much anymore. I feel uncomfortable there.
Oh.
So I'm trying to expand, like within hours distance from where I live, like pretty much everything. Hours radius is my next stopping ground.
Do you ever
yeah.
Do you ever venture down to Binghamton and because we have a pretty robust music community here, actually.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
There's lots of stuff going on there, and that's like my next stop. I've ventured down there for business events like networkings and stuff, and have gotten into a little bit of the business folks in Binghamton, but I haven't played too much down there yet. I'm looking forward to here eventually, though.
Excellent. Well, if you ever need help breaking out into the scene, I actually, many years ago when I was like 18 and 19, I used to be a local band promoter for the scene for more like punk bands, whatever else. But now as I'm an event coordinator, I work with all types of people. Whatever is going on, I would absolutely love to be able to combine your efforts with somebody else or just have your own thing going on at some location. So if you need help, excuse me, if you need help in whatever regard breaking out into Binghamton, I'd love to be your guy for it.
Yeah, totally. Let's definitely do it. I'm probably 100% going to take you up on that.
I appreciate that, man, because I love working with people and I love people that are willing to work with me. So I will absolutely take you up on that as well. Sounds good to me, honestly. So we have now gotten to, it's about 38 minutes in or so. Oh, yeah, exactly 38. Wow. Okay, wow. Almost 39 minutes. Sure, I'm not exactly that accurate, but we're about halfway point now. I'd like to give you the opportunity to kind of promote more of your channels as we do our sponsored segment. So you can share all the places people can find you and upcoming events as you already listed, so that people can collaborate and come see you.
Sure, yeah. Like I mentioned, my name is Jeremiah Craig. You can find me online at jeremiahcraig.com. All of my shows are there. I got shows coming up this weekend, July 26th, next weekend at Summerhill Brewing on August 1st, and then another show at Tres Leches here in Ithaca on the 8th.
Oh, I love Trace Leches.
I know, right? So such a great spot.
It is
and
really
then
good.
some more shows coming up as well. So jeremiahcraig.com, and then Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube are probably the three most heavily used social medias that I'm on.
Excellent. And that's all going to be on screen, and links can be found in the description for everywhere you can find Jeremiah online, and for the events that are coming up this weekend, and whatever else as well. And as always, all of the In When You're Out podcasts are brought to you by Socks with John. As always, I'm John, and here's the socks. Check me out on TikTok. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can find this on the short sections as well. All my videos, I think I've been doing it for quite a while. I have a lot more videos of Socks with John on TikTok if you guys would like to check that out. Another link is going to be found in the description for that. So thank you very much. Alrighty. So the last questions I kind of have for you are, well, the last question I'll leave for last, which is just the last word for today. But do you have any questions for me, Jeremiah? We kind of talked about this earlier, so I can assume you have some questions for me.
Well, yeah, I want to talk about the president run.
Sure.
I mean, I know you got another 10 years before you can do it, but what's the plan looking like?
So 12 years. I plan to start my campaign for the 2040 election in 2037. And the reason being is that if I get a good head start, then I'll be very well known, especially with the things I try to do online, my personal brands. People will see me and they see that John's doing things kind of before the curve, and that's a good idea. The plan is to kind of hold rallies in a completely separate way. I plan on running as an independent moderate, not tied to a political institution, simply because I believe political institutions are the most divisive thing in the country. And they're basically, you get close enough to the top, they're run by the same people. The super corporate or the mega corporations and the super PACs and whatever else. It's lobbyist money and it's corruption. So if you get close enough to the top, the Democrats and the Republicans are both getting money from the same people. So, what side are you truly on? So with that in mind, my campaign would be so vastly different from what other people do. Most importantly, in my campaign, I would not on any occasion stand on a stage for as much as I can help it. I don't believe that I could stand above the people either physically or morally. I think the perspective from that would be helpful, that people see me as a person, not as somebody who's going to be a politician. I don't want that. I plan to humanize the role of presidency, and I want people to, this may sound weird, they can call me John. Maybe people within my administration could call me Mr. President, but for the most part, just call me John, because I'm not a politician. And even after, if I get 8 years, I'll be done. That'll be it. I'll be gone from politics. I'll recede into the background. But my campaign will look like 3 years of going to community locations, standing in parks or community centers or at restaurants or anywhere, and asking people bluntly, who needs help and how can I help you? People raise their hand, whatever else goes on. A scenario I've said quite often that I think paints the picture well. I would go somewhere affected by, say, a natural disaster, or say I go to campaign somewhere and I just heard that somebody's house had burned down or they lost something. And so I say, everybody that's coming to my rally, please bring, 2 cans of food and these sizes of clothing and shoes. Actually affect the community and do good. So even if I don't get elected, those 3 years have been pure help and nothing but providing for the community. If people think that I'm a good enough guy for doing stuff like that, then they can be compelled to vote for me. I'm not sure if you're aware, but there's about 250 or 270 million voting age Americans in the United States, and only about half of those, less than half, actually will vote, and they have voted ever. Most of that is because people think there's no point, they don't find a good character they want to vote for, they're worried about divisive political rhetoric, or it's not their political party, so they're not going to vote. So more than half of Americans won't vote. So I'm trying to influence the people that have been disillusioned by politics, that don't think that the country's going in the right direction, that none of our leadership is doing well, that they want somebody new outside of the political atmosphere that exists now, and that person hopefully will be seen as me. Furthermore, what I plan to do as president, the very first thing, and I mean absolute first thing, as I lift my hand off of the Constitution as I've just sworn in, I'll describe my inauguration day and you can tell me what you think. The plan is, so I already looked it up. The Constitution says that it's going to be the 20th of January, unless it's on a Sunday, and then you get sworn in kind of like unofficially or officially, but then the next day you have kind of like the rehearsed kind of same thing, like you're already president, but it's just for the public. I plan on still doing it on the Sunday for 2 reasons. One, I think it would be important to kind of have people, give people the opportunity. It's been a religious thing. It's been a tradition from, when the Constitution was first started of not having something like that on a Sunday to respect religions. I'm not really sure having a Sunday like that is going to mean so much to people that are religious. They're going to be dissuaded, whatever. Just as well, I'm an atheist. I'm not somebody who believes in God, but I don't plan to disband or destroy religion. As I said, I would swear in on a copy of the Constitution. I think all presidents should do that because their first and foremost thing or responsibility as president is to protect and preserve the Constitution of the United States of America. So with that in mind, I think it would be very profound to swear in on the Constitution or a copy of the Constitution. And the person who would be administering the oath of office, I want them to be the previous incumbent. So whoever was president before, the day before, they would be the person to swear me in. The reason for that, it would help bridge the divide between the administrations. It would help humanize the role of presidency to show that, because I'd be doing the same thing to whoever would run for the next presidency, and maybe we could start a trend after that. And it would also allow for people to see that the transition of power has to remain peaceful, and this is how it should be done. Because we have had problems now in this country with a peaceful transition of power. The next thing I would do, which would be the most profound thing of hopefully not my entire presidency, but the start of my presidency, before I speak to the microphone, as I lift my hand off the Constitution and turn to the crowd, I'd have my vice president hand me an executive order. And I would sign it, and it would be to formally recognize the Native American genocide, or the United States participation in the Native American genocide. I would then say, not for 1 second, not for 1 minute maybe, because it would probably take more than a second, but not for 60 seconds would I bear the blood of the genocide that has happened for over 400 years, perpetrated by every previous administration not willing to do something about it. Because that's the reality of the situation. The Native Americans have been genocided. Most of their land now is occupied by the United States, Canada, and Mexico, or whatever other countries in North America. And their culture, their people, is continuously erased. So I would not stand for it 1 second to understand that, this is something that the president has the power to do. And yes, it would break norms. And I'm sure it would scare people if all of a sudden I'm just writing my name quick. But when they see why it's for, and, furthermore, I plan on having my vice president to be actually somebody from a Native American tribe, a very prolific member and a representative, so that if I do anything and I try to collaborate with these people, it's not from ignorance. It's not from, I want to posture and seem like I'm doing the right things. I want to actually do the right things because it's coming from the people that need help and know what they need. So we're going to listen to them. Then after that, it would kind of just be, humanitarian first. I want to do asteroid mining to try to embolden the economy. Before I get elected, I would spend time going to other countries and trying to build free trade deals. I think tariff policies have absolutely destroyed our economy and our reputation on a world scale. Our countries are not willing to do business with us the way they were before. The reputation for our administration that we currently have, or our government just as a whole, especially with the Epstein stuff, things are not as good as they could be. And I would like to be the person that people look towards to say, John, you are the person we hope makes it good, or at least better. I could go on, like I said, I've actually made a video on my channel, if you guys would like to check it out, is what I would do as United States president. I listed my first 10 or 12 policies, and some of them have been included in what I said so far. But for the most part, I have a very cohesive plan. I know exactly what I want to do. I know how things are going to go, what my vice president was going to look like, and, the whole nine. So as a 25-year-old guy, you can't run for president at least until you're 35 years old. But like I said, I'd run when I was 37. By the time I would be elected, I'd be 41 years old. So that's the plan. What do you think, Jeremiah?
I think that's a great plan. You're coming in with a great strategy 12 years out. So I think that's really commendable and exciting at the same time.
I definitely have quite a bit to do, right, before we get there. I told myself, basically, I will continue to do the stock videos. I'll be an online personality. I'll try to promote positive energy or just being a good person online, because a lot of people, they like my sock videos because they're like, John, I see all this junk online, and then I come to your videos and you're not talking about, whatever else. You're just showing us your crazy socks and smiling and having a good time. And I think that does a lot more for people than I understand, maybe. If you're like really down in the doldrums, or you're facing, whatever tragedy or things are going hard, and you see some stuff online, it kind of reinforces that bad attitude. But if you see, your videos or my videos, it makes people feel good. And that's kind of some of the reason that I do it, is that I know that people need relief, and I would love to be able to help them.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
Thank you, man. Thank you. I would encourage you, if you would like to check out that video. I think I posted it less than a month ago, maybe even like 2 or 3 weeks ago. It's only about 15 minutes long. It's nothing crazy, but I do at the end of it, I started like saying, this is like a hypothetical, but I ended by saying, hey, vote for me 2040.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens and everything. But I'll be honest, once we get to the debate stages, and the first thing I'm going to tell everybody is, reluctantly I stand among you, but even more reluctantly I stand above the people, because you've got, you have decided that that's what the politics has to be like, basically. So, I could go more into that if you're interested in the specifics, because like I said, there's a lot more.
Yeah, that sounds really cool. And yeah, I feel like a lot of, because it does feel weird being above people, because I'm,
Yeah.
I've played on stages and stuff.
Well, there's
But
reason
at the
for
same
it,
time,
but
you gotta make sure everybody sees you.
right,
You know?
there's that. But there's ways to do things like, if you get a jumbotron and you're just standing in a crowd and there's like 10 feet before the crowd starts and you have your security and whatnot. Here's the thing. What bothers me the most, and what kind of really started this idea of I'm not going to stand above people, is I saw some local politicians that had gone, because more recently we actually had something, we had the county clerk Republican primary. I try to get those people on my podcast, alas. But I saw that some of the people that were campaigning were basically standing like 6 inches above everybody else. And it's like, why? Like, you're at a press conference where people are sitting in chairs and you're speaking into a microphone. Why do you need to be 6 inches above everybody else? If that, 4 inches, maybe it's like a step. Do you need to be placed on a pedestal to be a politician? Apparently, but I would like to challenge that.
That's fair. That's fair. Maybe they're insecure about being so short.
Well, yeah, that possible. I'm 6'1", so I think I'll do all right.
Need it.
Yeah, I'll just have all the tall people in the back, please. But truly, when my rallies start, it'll kind of like, oh, what's this guy about? But if I just straight up say, hey, who needs help? And I pass a mic around and people are like, I'm having mental health issues. What do I do? And I'm like, hey, I'm in the local community here. Let's get some of the resources your way, or whatever else. Somebody's like, hey, I'm homeless, or hey, I'm hungry. They could be. It's just to do things so radically different. It's like, why have we not done this? Like, why has somebody not said, I'm going to go into communities and offer them help and support, not go and preach my agenda, just, on the basis of being a Republican or a Democrat or whatever else. So it's more important for me to be a human being than to be a president or to be a politician. And I hope people will see that with my actions.
Yeah, I hope so too, because, like you said, they do focus on the things that make money, not the things that actually matter.
And there you go. And I've surmised that I would probably need about $15 million to run this campaign before I start accepting donations. I want to go as long as I can without spending any of the money people donate to me, because I think it would be a good. I looked into this. You can't actually do refunds for political donations. It's against the law, because the way that because to get money, most of it's from the government. Like, say for instance, actually this happened like last year. Harris, she wanted to do refunds or she wanted to like give people money from the political campaign, and the what's it called? The political committee, forget exactly what it's called. Campaign committee, I can't say exactly. But whatever it was, they said you can't do that. It's against the law. That would be a misappropriation of funds if you gave money to people. And it's like, oh, okay, why? That doesn't seem like bribery. It's like, oh, okay, well, I have a better idea. I'll take that grant money and I'll buy things that people need in the community or whatever, because if you pull a certain amount, you get money. You get like $10 million from, gosh, I wish I knew exactly what it was called, some specific committee. So again, take this with a grain of salt. I don't know. I can't say at the top of my head. It's been a little bit the exact name of the committee or what it is, but that is the reality of the situation. So to kind of circumvent that, I would try to spend my money as long as I can, raise through the businesses that I have and the projects that I do. And then, if we get to a point where I start spending people's money, it's just reinvesting into the communities. Because like I said, at the very least, if I don't get elected, all that work that I have done, it helped. And that's what's most important. It's not winning. Yeah, that'd be great so I can go on and continue to do good things. But go ahead and list some politicians that even the ones that didn't win, they still made a big enough impact that people remember them or are thankful for them. Probably not many.
Oh, yeah. I couldn't list any.
I can't think of any people or any person who's gone on and done things or had even a similar sentiment to do things like this. So I would love to see what happens, honestly.
Yeah, I think that's a great, commendable adventure that you got planned. I think it's going to be fun to watch. Oh, gosh, yeah, it'll be fun to watch. It'll be something. But obviously I have a very long way to go. I had kind of I sat with myself a little bit earlier this year and I said, are we going to I'll be honest. My parents sat me down earlier this year and they said, you are delusional as
all get out, basically. They said, you will never be the president. They said that. They said, you will never be the president of the United States. You are delusional, and we are worried for you, because, basically an intervention to tell me this. And some things had happened, whatever proof of concept, I'd done some things, and my parents kind of thought, wow, maybe we were wrong. And now they don't think that. They don't think it's delusional, but I'm sure they're still just as worried for me. But earlier this year, I sat with myself and I said, am I going to reveal my plan, 12 years, ahead of time? I think the idea is, I already have. So yes, I will. Get in the game early. I don't know about that. Like getting into politics, that's kind of what people were saying, or my parents were saying, was like, you don't have an internship at the White House, or you're not working in a political action campaign. And it's like, I don't want to. And even if I was like, a year away from the presidency, I want to be doing that, because that's not the route I'm taking. I don't want to buddy up with people that have been, in the system for as long as they have been, and just work and, do the same things that everybody else has been doing, because I don't think it works. So, and when people can't see the vision, it's a very hard sell to say, hey, I'm 25 and I'm going to be the president when I'm 40 or 41. That's, actually, I have another question for you. I didn't write this down, but I just thought of it. If you were the United States president, what would you do?
I wouldn't be the president.
No.
I don't want to be in politics. I don't blame you. That's like, I'm so involved in the community. People are like, when are you going to be the mayor of Ithaca? I'm like, I don't want to be.
But you know what they say? Those who would be the best leader are reluctant to be leaders.
Maybe so, but I've noticed how things actually get done.
Yeah.
And from what I've seen, it is not in the government, it is in business. So I am trying to be involved in the business side of things with I'm on the Chamber of Commerce. I'm still on the Rotary. I'm in the board. I'm on the board of the Chamber of Commerce now. Just started this year. I'm on the board of Rotary. Yeah. So I'm trying to get involved in the community and change things the way that the world, this nation, has shown us things actually get changed.
At the ground level, by the people, not by the institutions or by the government. That's kind of too bad, because people kind of forgot. You're aware of the notion of the social contract? Which basically says, the government is allowed to rule over us because we allow it to. And it's that social contract that says we will exist in the country you occupy. We will pay taxes to your government so that you can provide for us. That is the social contract. We pay taxes. You guys spend the money on stuff we need. I could say most assuredly that is not the case anymore, and that the social contract has deteriorated, and that many people are not happy or even satisfied in any regard of how things are going. And it's a very important thing, like you said, working at the ground level of being on the the board of the Chamber of Commerce or the board of the Rotary Club. I'm sure you've found great success so far, and I'm sure you've also found that the way that things are done, not really the way things are, or maybe the things that used to work, it's not really how things are anymore. Or there's a fallacy.
I will say that it works a lot differently from how I thought it worked. And I'm still learning new things every day. There's meetings and stuff. I'm like, oh, I understand how this is actually working now. I didn't understand it before, because either one, what we were taught was what they wanted us to know or think, and they I don't know who they.
Yeah, I was going to
society. We were taught one thing, but it actually works a different way from what I'm learning. So I'm just trying to get involved and be in a community. It feels like I don't have. Before I moved here, and even after I moved here, my family is disintegrating. People around me, I didn't have anybody, so I needed a community. And in order to get into the community, I didn't want to get involved in politics. I wanted to get involved in volunteering, being a part of a nice humanitarian group like the Rotary, and then also being a part of the business community. And it's been a great uplifting experience. Yeah,
I would say that I'm sure that resonates with a lot of people, that even myself as well. Everybody's going through times where family is not maybe what it should be, what it could be. Relationships have deteriorated, and everybody's kind of searching for a sense of self, let alone a sense of fitting in a community. So I think you found that, and you decided that there's things I can do. There's people doing things like that, and I can complement their services. At the very least, I can feel better about myself knowing that I helped, and that maybe I can provide is also receive some of that help. Which a lot of people, I won't even make that statement. I would just say There are people that can be selfish, but it's up to us, whoever you are, to decide to not be and say, I'm going to be the person that provides, not the person that takes away, or a detractor versus a provider. I definitely see you as a provider, Jeremiah.
Oh, thank you so much.
I know, 100%. Yeah, absolutely. I see you as somebody who not just is a positive influence online, not just as somebody who could be a pillar or the epidome of your community, but somebody who is willing to do things that are difficult, knowing that they are difficult because you believe in yourself and you believe that things should be and could be better. And so for that, I commend you. I commend you very much.
Thank you. That means a lot.
Absolutely.
It's tough, right? Yeah, it's very difficult to do.
Yes.
To keep your mindset on the goal of it all.
Mm-hmm.
But I love win-win situations, right? And that's what I work towards every day.
Yeah, there you go. Help me help you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I really think that will resonate with a lot of people. And like I've said already, and I'm sure I think you said, join the Rotary Club. Definitely. There are, I think, over 2 million clubs worldwide. I think there's over 60,000 clubs in the United States. There are, just in Binghamton, there is Endicott Club, there's a Binghamton Club, there's a Johnson City Club, a Vestal Club, there is a Shenango Bridge Club, there's an Owego Club, there's obviously an Ithaca Club that's a little farther away. There are clubs all over, I guarantee. And I'll show on the screen right now, if you see, this is the logo for Rotary. It's this blue and yellow gear. I guarantee you have seen this all over. While I was driving home from a vacation in North Carolina, I saw on the border a big Rotary sign. I was like, wow, I didn't think they really made it all the way out here. And then I realized it's not a regional thing. It's a global, international, multinational club. And they do incredible work. So this is my advocation for the Rotary Club. Jeremiah, he's given his advocation for the Rotary Club. If you would like to do, make a difference and contribute positively to your community, that's how I would suggest. Or at least at the Rotary, join a humanitarian organization. It's most certainly worth it.
It's also, like I said, it makes volunteering really easy. It makes you feel good because you're part of the community. But when you're part of the community in that way too, a lot of times it feels like the community gives back to you personally in whatever you're trying to do, right? Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I've noticed is a lot of people in Rotary, sure, they're older, but they also have been in that community most likely for a very long time. Yes. They understand how it works. They are business owners. They are property owners. And those are also good people to know in whatever you're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, the network alone is astounding. I joined the Rotary Club because it was actually, shout out to Andy Papileo. Love you, Andy. Good guy. He got me in the Rotary Club because I met him in downtown when I was selling ice cream. And then at the Beer Tree in Port Crane, New York, I was selling ice cream as well. And he did trivia up there sometimes. And I was saying, how do I do X, Y, Z? How do I get some more weddings maybe or whatever? He's like, you should join the Rotary. I was like, okay, sure. And I thank him profusely for that because that opened my eyes to a lot. It gave me a lot more opportunities. But the network for the Vestal Club, it was full of lawyers and real estate and politicians or executives or whatever. These people were not just educated, they were not just successful, they were long-standing professionals and successful people that have been around for however long it's been. Unfortunately we have had some people that have died in our clubs. Just to kind of highlight the how things are going age-wise. We had somebody who was about 85 years old. I think they had passed away. And I only met him once or twice. I sat with him a couple times, so it was too bad I didn't really get to know him as well. But the Rotary Club could definitely use your help, and they will help you back. Believe me, as I've explained, as Jeremiah's explained, the Rotary Club will absolutely treat you well. And if you're a young person, and young could be 40, young could be 45, they will treat you like gold. They will treat you like a son or a daughter. They really will. So if you're looking for any, a sense of community like that, you'd like to help out locally, or you'd just like to know how you could become a better person or whatever, try it out. Definitely try it out. And it's free for the most part until they make you pay dues, which that's, depending on how it is, could be $50 every quarter or twice a year or $100 twice a year, but that's circumstantial to each club. It could be different for each one. But definitely check it out. It's definitely worth it. I think I've given the biggest advocation I have so far in this podcast. I'm definitely going to title this podcast something like, with you or with the Rotary or whatever, something as well. I don't want to say or whatever, but
Yeah, you'll have to join another club. You're definitely talking it up quite a bit for a non-member.
Yeah, well, the reason is I just kind of stopped going to the morning meetings, and then, I did a lot of stuff surrounding the club, and then I just hadn't gone for probably like 6 or 7 months, and they were like, "Hey, John, we're gonna take you off the thing," and I was like, "Okay, I get it."
Oh, they have a requirement for meeting all of the attendance.
No, not really, but I was doing a lot of things outside of the club, and like, stuff with international, stuff with district, that I didn't really need to be like in a like whatever club I was in, it was more just like an appendage. Like I didn't feel like in that club I was actually going to the things or going to any of the. So they don't have an attendance policy. I think at one point they did, but for what I had tried to do and whatever else, I just, they told me after a while. It was like, it may be more than like 7 or 8 months. It might have been almost a year that I hadn't gone. And they were like, "Hey, John, are you still interested in being in the Rotary?" I never said no, but I just got an email one day that was like, "Hey, John, we remove you from the registry." And I was like, "Okay, I understand." I mean, I understand. But yeah, it's that's simply because the things that I try to do, I didn't necessarily have time to dedicate volunteer time. And I had gotten a lot out of the Rotary so far. I'm not going to say like use it and abuse it, get it for what you need and, hit the road. But it's definitely something that you can find out, dear viewer, by going in, trying this out, that it's something that takes time, but it's worth it. But a lot of people, the reason they don't volunteer is because they just don't have the time for it. Basically, we had meetings at 8 a.m, like on Wednesdays, I think it was, and that was pretty difficult. At that time, I had a guitar business with my friend. It was in Pennsylvania, so I was driving like 35 minutes just to get down there, and that was just like not possible, really. So there was a couple times I did some meetings over the phone in my car. They didn't seem like they appreciated that. I don't really, well, we won't really necessarily get into all that, but yeah, so it just kind of became like a, hey, sorry, John, you're not really in the club anyway. It's like, yeah, you're kind of right. But well, to further that even more, not to talk about like all the things I've done in Rotary and why I'm no longer in any club right now, I'd actually tried to start my own club, an online club and a Rotaract club as well. I had reached out to some people online. We tried to do an online club. I think you need at least 12 members, or you need 10 members, and you need a president. That could also be like a, just any other position like treasurer or secretary or whatever else. So basically we needed to fill those positions. We needed to file an online club and the whole nine. But I really couldn't just find the people for it. So that's kind of like how the path went. I transitioned into kind of doing my own thing with Rotary, and then eventually it led to me kind of falling off from the other clubs that I was a part of. But I do still work with the Binghamton Rotary Club, actually. Shout out to Brian Nayer. I feel like I'm saying his last name wrong, but shout out to Brian. He wanted to have me in there sometime to talk about my ice cream business, but things didn't go well this year, so I didn't have that conversation. I'm not selling ice cream this year, unfortunately.
But that's too bad, because it's a warm one.
Yeah, I've talked about this a couple.
Ice cream in this world.
Yeah, I really wish I could have, but so I'll say this. I've spoken about this on the podcast already. I actually had somebody who was a witness to this exact crime, of why everything is kind of going the way it is. So earlier in May this year, probably actually it was the week before I was going to start. Literally the week before I was going to go in downtown, and somebody was brutally murdered on this street side, the street I sell ice cream on, a couple businesses down, and I interviewed somebody on my podcast who was a witness to that. She was literally eating dinner with him. Somebody came up behind him and stabbed him in the neck and killed him.
Oh.
Later that week, 2 days later, a girl committed suicide by jumping off the parking garage, also on the same street. So I already struggle with trying to convince people to come downtown because they are terrified. They're scared of the people, or they don't think it's a good place in whatever regard. I think it's all right, but things like that are bad for business. So my parents, I had said like, hey, you guys heard that somebody died in Washington Street, and they were like, my dad was in the kitchen. He's like, "You mean murdered?" And I was like, yeah. So my parents had a big hand in that. They were like, "You need to not do this." And I was like, okay, all right. I mean, it kind of made the decision for me. Like if I was going to go downtown for that next like month or two, even now, it's not really, it's not popping like it was, because people are, unfortunately to say, people are kind of terrified of downtown Binghamton. And now even still, what's that?
I said, that's too bad, because it sounds when I was at some of the networking events a year or so ago, it seemed to be, they seemed to be excited about how well it was bouncing back.
And I did see a bit of a resurgence. We've had quite a few things go on. We had, we'll talk about this actually on a future podcast. I think at the end of this month, I'm having somebody on. So I'll talk about this a little bit. We had some things go on. Some men were accused of raping women in their business basement. So, and that was actually probably, I would say, the most popular business in downtown Binghamton. It was a bar. And well, here's the worst part of all of it is that whatever happened, I'll find out at the end of this month, but whatever happened was fabricated. The girls that were a part of it lied. And when they got to court, they had messages on their phone that was used as evidence that clearly said, basically verbatim, yes, it was consensual, but they should feel bad. And that doesn't hold up in court when you're trying to. So we'll have a clarity of the situation. The person who's actually going to be coming on later this month is speaking about this directly. So I'm kind of excited for that podcast, and we'll have more clarity about the situation now. But it's been a gigantic detriment to Binghamton because of what's happened, and coupled with what's happened this year, it's difficult to fight this uphill battle. I think it was in 2021 that the alleged rape had gone on. So we were trying to build back, and people, the businesses have now rebranded. They've sold them off to whoever else, and they basically reopened exactly the same way. But they have a different name or whatever else. And that doesn't bode well with a lot of people because they see that and they go, I remember when it was the other thing. And I also remember why it's different. So we have a lot of work to do for Binghamton, and it definitely is seeing a resurgence, but it needs a lot of help. And I would love to be able to provide that help.
Yeah.
That's kind of the situation, unfortunately.
That sounds complex.
It's
dramatic.
I mean, I sold ice cream on the street side corner, man. I talked to a lot of people. I've seen a lot of stuff. Stuff's happened to me. I can understand why people are feeling the way that they are. And but I hope that I can be a part of the solution. I'll share this as well. I've talked about this a little bit on the podcast before. About almost a year ago, maybe. But I tried to work with the city of Binghamton to help the public perception of the police, because in Binghamton, you ask any of our, we're called Binghamtonians. I know you're called Ithacans. Maybe you thought that was like terrible. We're called Binghamtonians. So all residents of Binghamton, they kind of understand that they, I don't want to say we, but they don't have a good perception of the police. And I'm not going to say that's not warranted or it's not for nothing. Not to purely get into why that is, but I tried to work with the mayor's office in the city of Binghamton to help actually make a recruitment video, because I wanted there to be a larger police presence so that we can help, because that was the biggest issue. They said, we're having a recruiting problem. I was robbed from, or people tried to fight me last year, and I called the police, and it took an hour and a half for them to get to me. However, I could see the police station from the bottom of the road that I was selling ice cream on. So that's clearly an issue. With that in mind, I tried to work with business owners so that we can all come together and advocate for a video that says, hey, Binghamton resident, you should join the police because, whatever else. And I think people would see that, especially somebody like me who's a young guy, and think, you know what, maybe it's a good idea. We can start this police reform. We can allow for more resources for the police so that they can do what they need to do. And then we can kind of get on this track of better police perception, better handling of public affairs, and then people are just doing better because they're safer and well cared for. And the people that are helping are actually helping. But I was told that I could not be the person to do that. And I said, why? They basically said that a private citizen could not work with the police department to allow for a video like that. I said, okay, what about the other people that I had mentioned, like the other business owners? And said, that would be fine. So I said, wait a second. So I can't be the person to do it because I'm a private citizen, but other private citizens would be all right to advocate for this recruitment video? And they said yes. And that didn't really feel good, I'll tell you that, because I was speaking on behalf of 8 or 9, maybe 10 or so businesses that I'd gone into and said, hey, this is a situation. They said, hey, are you actually going to do that? And I said, yeah. You're like, are you going to speak to the city? I said, yes. And they're like, could you, say that we're having the same problems as you? And I'm like, I will absolutely. So they didn't want to take me seriously. They didn't think it was a worthy effort. And guess what? We're dealing with a public perception issue of the police. And I can't imagine, worse off is that they told me they spend over $100,000 a year with a marketing company to try to market the Binghamton police so that they can get more recruits, because they fail recruiting numbers every year, and they have for the past 18 years. I don't know. That might be disinformation. I can't say 18 years, but I know they at least for the past couple of years, because the person I had spoke to had said that. But so that's kind of where we're at. Is I was willing to do things and help, but they didn't want my help. So what do we do after that? Basically, is kind of where But I think that things can get better. I would still love to work with the city of Binghamton. We'll see what happens. Maybe we need a new administration, whatever it is. But things could change. I believe they should change, and I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, it's kind of the situation.
Yeah, and you'll be there when they're ready to ready for the help.
I most certainly will. I went to the mayor's office earlier this year after everything had happened. I wish I had gone in a little earlier because it was like pretty ripe, like the week of everything had happened, and kind of asked the mayor, hey, I have been jumped. My first year in 2020, I was jumped by 3 people while I was working. They broke my nose. I was out of work for 2 weeks. And that was over something I had nothing to do with, so that was pretty bad. And then the city did nothing about it. Those guys are still free. I pressed charges and they were never caught. And I even called the police on them when I saw them. And the police came down and said, well, the detective's not in today, so we can't do anything about that. So I'm being 100% serious. I saw the group of people that had done it, and I called the police on them because I was in a business and they saw me and I didn't want to get attacked again. I was actually working and I had my employees with me, or my one employee with me. And I called the police. I called my parents because I was like, yo, I'm not safe. And they're right there. And they came down. They said, the detective doesn't come in until 6 o'clock tomorrow because it was at night. And you can talk to him then. And I was like, aren't you doing an investigation where you're looking for these exact suspects? And he's like, there's nothing we can do. It's like, okay, so that's how it works. So that's unfortunate. But yes, I do hope that at some point they will accept my help. I'll keep trying. I'll keep doing it. But yeah, I told the mayor's office, hey, I'd love to be able to help, and they were like, yeah, no. I told the lady, I said, this is kind of like your guys' last opportunity to work with me because, I wasn't doing the ice cream this year. And she was like, okay. I was like, oh, you're enthusiastic about that? All right, I'll see you. That's too bad.
Oh, yeah, that doesn't sound like a fun experience at all.
It's pretty nuanced. It's a pretty convoluted issue, unfortunately, but I am steadfast in my ways, and I would hope to accomplish things that are better for everybody. And I see the writing on the wall. I mean, like I said, I was an ice cream man on the corner during the summer where people were doing whatever. I saw people get beat up. I saw people get in fights. I saw people rob from me. People steal stuff, whatever. I had like my extension cord stolen from me like 4 times. I had people take, oh gosh, I don't want to get into that whole thing, but so yeah, there's plenty of reasons why things should be better, and I believe that they could be, but that's kind of the situation. I know I'm kind of more just explaining it for you and for our audience today, but I hope that it's worth it to at least speak this so that people can hear this, understand it's the truth, and then maybe do something about it themselves. So, what I have for you now is our last word for the audience today. I know I've kind of yapped for a little bit, but I do want to hear from you a little bit more. If you had to leave the audience with one thing that, they could really hold and have resonate with them for the rest of the day, rest of their life, what's some advice that you can impart to our audience?
I like to think of this one thing, and it goes along with kind of what you were just saying and the vibe of it all. Sure. My godfather, my late godfather, his name was Bill.
Sorry to hear
he
that.
He wrote a book of sayings that he collected, or that he actually had said a lot.
Yeah.
During his life, and I look at it quite a bit, almost every day. One of my favorite sayings from the book that he wrote, it's called Words of Will.
It's pretty cool.
And it goes, he's written it a couple of times in that book. It's like, don't get ulcers, give them.
Oh, interesting.
All to say, like, don't get bothered so much that you get stressed out that people are giving you ulcers. Stress other people out. If they're stressing you out, you got to double down and stress them out so that they get the ulcers.
Right, with good intention, not for no reason, but
all for the good of the world.
Yes, absolutely. I kind of like that. My dad had given me some advice. That's pretty good advice. When I was young, it was basically don't take people's crap. Just straight up, don't take people's crap. Don't ever. There's no reason that you ever, whoever it is. If somebody's giving you a hard time, don't take it from them. I'm not saying, punch them in the face. I'm saying don't take it. I'm saying give it back to them. And I said, okay. So, this was like after a soccer practice where somebody was like mean to me or something. And my dad was like, why are you always, he didn't say crap though, But so I think that's pretty good advice, actually. Don't let people give you ulcers. Give people ulcers. That's very interesting.
It just makes you laugh, right?
It does. And it's one of those things like, it's a good saying because one, it makes you laugh, but also it's true. Like it's good words to live by as well. So that's actually pretty cool. Words of Will. That's a pretty good title as well. You said you read that almost every day.
Yeah, I try to. I put up a lot of his quotes on Instagram as well.
Do you?
Like I'll share my boots of the day that I'm wearing that day, and then I'll just kind of put up one of his sayings.
Yeah.
And one of his phrases that he's either collected from somebody else or that he said, and he had some awesome ones too. Like he'd just sit there and he'd just like say the coolest thing that you ever heard, and every once in a while he would write them down.
He's like the one-liner king.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah, I love people like that. Oh, so I actually want to say one more thing. Today I will be dedicating my sock video to you. People will see this probably after my sock video goes out, but it is my guitar socks today. I think that's very fitting.
Nice.
My acoustic guitar socks. I'll dedicate these to you today, my friend. And hopefully people enjoy that. You know, it would be kind of funny if you wore, I don't have socks yet. I'm trying to start my sock company. That's kind of the intention of doing the socks as well. But if you wore some socks when you do like a boot video, because I put my feet up there and all that. I kick my camera, whatever else. But if you're ever interested in doing a sock video, I'd love to do one with you. I think that could be funny.
Cool. Yeah, I'll share my favorite socks. They're Thorlo 12-hour work shift socks. Those are my go-tos.
There you go. All right. Yeah, I wear socks that come up to almost my knees every day. And it's even in this weather right now. Like I turned off my AC to record. I'm wearing like a suit right now, or at least a suit top. Disclaimer, guys, I'm not wearing any pants. I know it's like a Zoom call right now. I have socks on the whole nine, but no pants. But I got these long socks that are warming my legs up. I just got used to it, I suppose. But
yep, you gotta go with the tall socks for boots.
oh yeah, you can't wear like ankle socks. I hate ankle socks, by the way. Or I severely dislike ankle socks. They're not my favorite.
Yeah, I know. I was thinking about that the other day because you're in Gen Z, right?
I am Gen Z. I'm on the latter or the earlier half. I was born in '99. I think it starts at '97.
The short socks were the thing. Like you needed to have short socks. Like there's plenty of us who have trauma over the fact.
I'm not that young.
Groove socks with sneakers and shorts in high school.
I remember.
And you were deemed a nerd immediately.
Yes, my mom. Maybe I still have the same socks. To be honest, I might. My mother had gotten me some socks that were not no-show. They came up a little bit, and people were like, "Yo, John, what do you got? Those are girl socks." And mind you, this is like 2010, so things were a lot different. But I remember specifically saying, "Mom, I need no-show black Nike socks," and she was like, "Okay, take some from your brother. I'll get you some soon." It's like rock on, because 100%. But now, even if I'm wearing shorts, I'll wear these socks that come up to almost my knees. It's something that makes me happy. And remember what we said at the beginning of this podcast? Do more of what makes you happy. Because that is the point of life, is do more of what makes you happy. But that's kind of all I have for today. Jeremiah, thank you so very much for coming on with us today. I think this is an incredible discussion, and I'm glad that I was able to have you on. I mean, this is like, I pitched this to you like this morning. I think it was like 9 o'clock or so. I said, hey, come on my podcast. You're like, yeah. Oh, let's do it. This is the fastest turnaround I've ever had for somebody coming on my podcast. So I could appreciate that.
Just worked out. I just happened to have an opening on my calendar. So.
Yeah, and this is perfect right before the weekend. Because Friday and Saturday I have stuff going on, and later tonight, it's like, I'm so happy with this. So it's 12:30 now. This is about the exact time I was hoping to wrap up, because I don't want to leave you too little time to get ready for your everything going on at 1. So, like I already said, thank you very much, Jeremiah. If you have any other imparting wisdom to impart for our audience today, let's hear some crazy somethings. But otherwise,
well, the thing that I end off every one of my coffee and musics with is kick ass, take names, and have a little fun while you're doing it.
Oh, there you go. I like that. I usually say thank you everybody for watching or for tuning into the In One Arrow podcast. As always, I'm your host, John. What do I say after that? Actually, usually it's like automatic. I'll see you guys next time. Adios, mis muchachos, and peace out.
Like and subscribe.
Oh, yes. But thank you once again for watching the In One Ear Out podcast. As always, I'm your host, John. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Check out Jeremiah. His links are going to be found in the description and earlier in this video as well. I appreciate you guys tuning in for today. I'll see you guys next time. Adios, mis muchachos, and peace out.